This episode is presented by Visa, a network working for everyone. What's up? Welcome in. Hoge Jahns with you after a Bears win.
We called it.
It all worked out.
Well, for now.
Yes.
You know, the Lions are still the Lions. Still have to beat the Lions, but they're still the Lions.
Yes. As I called it after the game, even though it came against the Lions, at least this was a step in the right direction for Matt Nagy and the Bears offense.
It's a step in the right direction for Matt Nagy and Justin Fields, I would say, even though he wasn't the one actually talking to him on the field itself.
Yes, so the necessary change we thought should happen and would happen was made. It's kind of like pulling teeth in the post-game presser, but Matt Nagy did admit
Bill did a good job.
that Bill Lazor called the play. So anyway, welcome in. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see us here inside Soldier Fields, wrapping up Soldier Fields.
Soldier Fields.
It's supposed to be Soldiers Field. If you're
Well,
going to
the
do
Chicago.
that's what I mean, but I don't know. The Soldier Fields, I did the obvious shirt, which you can buy, by the way, obviousshirts.com. We're just kind of lounging this week.
I saw a bunch of fans wearing them today, though.
Yes.
I got to give a special shout out to Peyton, who said hi to me when I was eating Italian beef, or after I consumed Italian beef at the Bears tailgate.
Well, that was the most Chicago thing ever. If I was eating my beef.
A little jardinere.
Yeah, you got to have the jardinere. Well, here we are. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. Post-game reaction up for me, NBCSportsChicago.com. Johnsy is on The Athletic, theathletic.com/HoganJahns. And we've got some things to talk about here. The Bears win 24-14. Much different offense. You could tell right from the jump. A really good first drive. I think they had 5 first downs right away. Justin Fields looked solid. David Montgomery looked great. We'll have to talk about the injury here in a second. But you could just tell things were different offensively, even if it was coming against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, first they came out in 13 personnel. That's 3 tight ends. And then they, on their second play of scrimmage, from scrimmage, they were in the I formation. So right there, like, this is in my column, like, that's Bill Lazor saying, hello, this is Matt Nagy's offense. This is somebody else calling plays. I don't think it went for a lot of yards, but you saw a commitment to the run game. You saw a lot of play action. There wasn't a lot of rollouts. I don't know if that's what they want to do with Justin Fields quite yet, because maybe the Lions are trying to contain him a bit, but they were there. The plays were made down the field.
Yeah, so, and then, I don't know, as the game went on, the Lions probably made adjustments. Things didn't come quite as easy. But, you did have a handful, maybe not quite a handful, but at least 3 pretty good downfield throws. First one from Justin got a little away, but it was close enough that Darnell Mooney was able to make a great catch, which is, something we used to talk about Mitch Trubisky. Like, when he would miss completely, and his receiver wouldn't have a chance. When you miss, you want to have a small miss where your receiver can go up and make a play for you. And then there were some just absolutely perfect dimes that you love to see too. I still think he can speed a couple things up here and there, but I think that just comes with experience. What I'm encouraged by is I see a quarterback who looks comfortable reading the field. And today he had more time. That certainly helped, and it just all looked better.
That first completion to Mooney, you're like, oh, man, maybe he's going to be a bit off. I mean, Darnell Mooney was wide open. If he hits him in stride, you're potentially talking about a long touchdown play for the Bears, but he had to go up and he dove for it. It was an exciting catch, and all the credit goes to him on that one. Justin Fields said as much. But then you see the deep bomb down the seam to Darnell Mooney off the double move. You see the other one, the other 2 down the right sideline to
Robinson,
the one to Robinson, and the one to Mooney. I mean, our guy Greg Braggs has great video, end zone video of the dime pass to Mooney. I put it on my Twitter too. Check it out. I mean, that is an exciting pass, to say the least. Like, I'm putting this mildly, because we haven't seen these types of throws in some time here for the Bears. I mean, that was a special throw from Justin Fields this game.
Absolutely. A lot of encouraging things there. At the end of the day, he's 11 for 17, 209 yards, no touchdowns and an interception. But, it's kind of why you got to watch the tape. I mean, I don't think the interception, for one, was a tip pass. I don't necessarily think that was his fault.
The strip sack was on him, though.
Yeah, he took ownership for that, too.
Held the ball too long.
So here's the question. You have to play him next week, right?
Absolutely you have to.
But do you think they will?
No. What I'm bracing myself for, Adam, is this more of the game with Matt Nagy, and I honestly think he's gonna enjoy it even more so. They're gonna go through the whole routine of, we like Andy. If he's healthy, he's our starter. We'll see what happens. This is where we're at. We're gonna hear that a bunch of times this week, and we'll see. We'll see. There'll be another late announcement from the PR department on, what was it, Friday or Saturday? Saturday, right?
It was last night.
Yeah, so that's on a Saturday.
Second quarter of the Carmel game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're coaching special teams.
This obviously probably doesn't really matter, but what was the point of that?
Point of what?
Like,
the
they
whole
didn't have
gamesmanship? No, they didn't have to do that at all.
No, but I'm saying they didn't have to downgrade Dalton and announce Fields as the starter. So after all week, by the way, I'm totally okay with the gamesmanship. Like, it makes our jobs harder, but I get it. So if that's what you're doing, then why didn't you wait until Sunday morning? Why?
It's true.
I was just confused by it.
I don't know. Maybe they want clarity at the end. Maybe it's more for Justin Fields' own mind, so he doesn't have to wait for it to be a game time decision. Like, he could sleep on it.
Well, you could just tell him. They did. Justin
true.
said that.
That's
he said
true.
he found out last night he was going to be the starter.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I think in this day and age, in the world,
unless he got the email too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they told him.
He saw it on Twitter. He got the same Slack notifications we got.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It's going to happen again, though. It's going to be the same gamesmanship. John Gruden is going to be thrown for a loop coming up, and he's going to be confused about who's starting for the Bears.
They got this guy Justin Fields. I always liked Andy Dalton.
It's too bad we don't get to talk to the opposing coaches as much as we used to. Like, we used to have them on conference. Yeah.
Oh, John Gruden on a conference.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. Yeah, it would be fun and entertaining. But
come on, guys, knock on wood if you're with me.
That's not wood, by the way.
No, that is
ceramic.
Probably some kind of fake-looking marble.
Yeah, there you go. I would. How could you not? Right? He won. The offense worked. He threw some absolute dimes down the field that Andy Dalton cannot. I mean, Andy Dalton throws some good balls. But some of those passes he had today, I don't think Andy Dalton has it in him, at least not consistently in him. We know Justin Fields can do it. We saw that consistently from Justin Fields throughout training camp. His college tape is full of plays like that. Give him the ball again.
Yeah, I think you have to. There were also a couple plays that Justin made. He picked up a first down with his legs. And we've seen Andy do that. Heck, he got hurt on a play like that. But that one that in particular, Justin beat him to the edge with his speed, his rare quarterback speed. Andy Dalton would not have gotten there. The spin move, which turned out to not be a positive play, but the spin move, Dalton would have just been sacked. Yeah, let's be honest. So unless maybe he would have gotten the ball away earlier, but I don't think so on that particular play.
Will Andy Dalton benefit from a good run game and play action? Yes, all quarterbacks would. But if you want to stretch the field, it's Justin Fields.
Yes.
Andy Dalton can hit some of those throws, but I feel like Justin Fields just gives you more. He really does.
Absolutely. Well, I think they know that. I think Justin Fields will probably play, but I'm with you. It could be an interesting week where they mess around with a little bit. All right. Probably the biggest news to come out of this game, though, is David Montgomery. And we're not watching the broadcast. We're in the press box. But when you start seeing tweets that the broadcasters said they weren't going to show the replay, that doesn't sound good. This could be a potentially catastrophic injury to the offense. However...
Want to read the tweet?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is actually during the Nagy press conference. There was a tweet from David Montgomery. "You are an awesome God." 3 exclamation points, and everything is in caps.
Yeah.
So I imagine reading a tweet like that, my initial reaction was, okay, he got some good news. Mm-hmm. Now, MRIs... they don't happen here at Soldier Field. Different things can pop up when those MRIs are completed tomorrow. But as far as initial reviews, because they could do ACL tests and whatnot on their knees.
Yeah, right.
Like they could do that with their hands. There's certain things they do. Just talk to any trainer, they could tell you. Maybe that's what he got. I'm spitballing here, all speculation, but just my initial reaction from that tweet. I don't know if you felt anything differently, but that was positive to me.
Yeah, I think it's hard to totally read into it, but I think... yeah, I understand why you'd read it that way. You also had Roquan Smith say, "I know he'll be back pretty soon." Now, he didn't say that in a way that was like, oh, I know this for a fact. He was talking about how David's a warrior. And then, let me just put it this way. You can, a lot of times when you know a guy has a season-ending injury, you can tell pretty quickly after the game that it's not good.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll have the head coach, and I think Nagy's even done this in the past, to be like, yeah, it doesn't look good.
He actually referenced, like, he gave one of his, called a Nagy cliche, that, we'll see where he's at in a few days.
Yeah.
And he mentioned him in the same breath as Damian Williams, who, until that point, I did not even know left the game.
I didn't either.
It was so late in the game. That's why Khalil Herbert was out there at the end, the rookie running back. But I perceive that as a positive indication as well, that things could be at least okay with David Montgomery. And also, I made note of this, like, usually Nagy's in there pretty quickly. So they were waiting on some type of information. Darnell Mooney was the first player in. Usually it's Matt Nagy. I don't want to say immediately, but he's one of the first ones, right? And maybe he got the news he wanted. Maybe they're waiting for more information than they actually thought.
Look, though, he was still like not putting any. At a minimum, I feel like he's going to miss a week or two.
Yeah,
maybe more. Pro Football Doc on Twitter, who's usually spot on about this stuff, he went MCL with it right away, not ACL, MCL. So I thought that's another positive sign. Doesn't mean it's 100% fact, but he's usually pretty good about that stuff. And given what we saw unfold and what the broadcast said, MCL seems like the best outcome, which is usually at least 2 weeks, sometimes up to 6, depending on what it is. But, I mean, you can get by a month maybe without David Montgomery. It's not going to make life any easier for the rookie quarterback, who's going to have a much tougher test next week in Las Vegas than he did today against the Lions. I was thinking of Jared Goff. Rams still.
Yeah. It happens.
Imagine going on vacation at Cabo and you come home with Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff. I mean,
you've lost them?
Like, on the list of vacations, that's a really good vacation if you're Sean McVay.
That's a win. Just in terms of, like, misleading stats, like, I'll use passer rating every now and then.
Yeah, 105 for
But for, like,
Goff.
he had a couple touchdown passes. He made a couple plays. But the entire game, I'm thinking, maybe until that, like, final touchdown pass that Goff had, I'm thinking, like, this is another game where it's just very indicative of why not to use passer rating. Like, it's just an old-fashioned stat that should not be used. Justin Fields was a better baseball player, better football player.
I was going to ask you, who's the better quarterback today?
Justin Fields.
Yes, but his passer rating was 82. Jared Goff's was 105.
And it doesn't take into account the tipped interception, stuff like that.
Right.
But, it is what it is.
That's why using some of the advanced stats is a good idea. Yeah. Good idea.
To go back to David Montgomery, though, he will be felt, or like his loss will be felt. He is the Bears. Like, the identity of the Bears offense runs through him, especially if they want to go heavy play action with Justin Fields. The way he runs the ball, the patience, the power, the aggression, just everything that he brings to the football field, like, his team loves. He's probably he's like the classic most popular guy in the team because of what he does on the field and off it, just the team leader. Team captain, Justin Fields referred to him after the game.
Well, I was going to say, like, a lot of this game plan and all this stuff we were talking about, changing play color, it was all done for the benefit of Justin Fields, but it's also the offensive line and getting David Montgomery going. Like, as we've talked about, this offense needs to go through David Montgomery first. So this is a huge loss, even if it's just for a few weeks, which I think is the best case scenario. It's an enormous loss for the Bears, and it's going to make things tougher. Not an easy game against the Raiders next week. I'm starting to sound like a football coach, but I can't remember who they play the following week now.
The Buccaneers.
That quickly. No, they have a home
Packers.
game.
Packers, then Buccaneers.
Packers, Buccaneers. So
not
Raiders,
easy.
Packers,
not easy.
Bucks, all without David Montgomery.
No good.
But we shouldn't skip over the injury, as you mentioned, to Damian Williams then. Because Williams,
He played good today.
I like Williams, and he's still capable as a number 2. You don't have him. Now you're starting to talk about Khalil Herbert, Ryan Nall.
You got problems.
I mean, now you're starting to talk about got to bring somebody in off the street.
Now, if the offensive line plays like they did today, maybe you could get by for a game or two, but eventually the talent thing has to be factored in here. I mean, David Montgomery is a lead back for many reasons.
Or you got to start letting Justin Fields just cook.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to take on
more,
and that's tough. since this is going to be even more pressure with David Montgomery out, the tight ends, 3 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards, and that was all Cole Kmet. Jimmy Graham, I don't even know what his snap count was again. We'll find out in the morning, I guess, but not a lot.
Well, the tight ends played more.
Yeah.
But
in terms of in the passing game, Robinson, he does end up with 3 catches for 63 yards. It did have a nice catch in there, but something's still not. Allen Robinson's not having the type of season he wants to be having right now to get that big contract. Now, Darnell Mooney looked great. So that's a very good development.
Yeah. I think when you're running the ball, obviously they purposely wanted to run the ball like they did today. And when you are succeeding with that plan, the targets are going to be, they're not going to be as high, right? Just naturally that way. How many carries did David Montgomery have?
23 for 106 yards. Yeah.
And Damian Williams had, 4 or 5?
He had 8 for 55.
So it's even more than I thought.
So they really did commit to the run today, which is
over 30 carries.
Yeah.
And Khalil Herbert had a couple at the end. Justin Fields had his scramble, so it's going to happen that way.
So level of confidence with the offense with Justin Fields going into next week without David Montgomery.
The Raiders are a significantly better team than the Lions. I want to give the Lions some credit. They're the Lions. But Justin Tucker just beat them with a record-setting field goal. Yeah. So they're not like the pushovers we're used to seeing. There's some fight there. They even gave the Bears problems in the second half a little bit, but they're still the Lions.
Well, they showed you that at the end of the game when on a punt, they're getting the ball back and they're offsides.
Yes, yeah.
That's how the game ended.
It's a nice get-right opponent, but you still got to do good things to get right.
Mm-hmm.
Favorable spot in the schedule for the Bears, but now it gets tougher, man.
I was going to say, very important game coming up here against the Raiders. It's going to be a lot harder than this week, but I will say it's winnable. It's winnable. Then you have the Packers, and then you have the Bucks. Start talking about losing 3 games in a row really quick.
Yeah. The Steelers after that. They're not as good as we thought.
Remember, it goes home, away. Then there's a home game in there before they go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're not as good as we thought. There's going to be a lot of Bears fans in Las Vegas. I know a bunch of guys going. That place is going to be rowdy, rocking the entire weekend. And Chicago travels, especially for a game in Las Vegas. They're going to – Chicago could drink out Nashville. The amount of dollars that it's going to be spent and lost, maybe won a little bit in Las Vegas by people from Chicago, is going to be significant. Talking about getting a boom in your economy.
Yeah.
Just have the Raiders host the Chicago Bears.
Well, I have been there twice for Wisconsin Badger games where just Wisconsin has taken over Vegas. So I can only imagine what Chicago will do.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider you got fans all over the country too. It's not just from Chicago. You're going to have Bears fans from all over. Probably any fan that's out west. And I've seen them.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
When we were in San Diego a few years ago for the Holiday Bowl, and I actually had to skip the Week 17 game that the Bears played in. I think they're playing in Minnesota, so I was in San Diego. Again, the Bears were playing in Minnesota. I'm in San Diego, and we found a spot to watch that game, and the bar was packed.
Yeah.
It was a big bar, and it was packed with Bears fans.
Well, we've seen it in those Rams games out in Los Angeles a couple of years ago in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Tons of Bears fans. Yeah. It helps.
So it'll be fun. Defense. Kind of a weird game.
Yeah.
They took the ball away. They
gave up yards, gave up first downs.
There still seems to be some issues in the secondary.
Yeah, miscommunications.
Yeah, it still keeps happening. It looked like that touchdown was probably on Deion Bush, but why is it still happening? It's not a good sign.
It almost makes you wonder if Sean Desai's trying different things back there with assignments. I don't know how nuanced they're getting, because you do see some differences between him and Pagano, almost immediately this season, but why are they happening with guys who've been on the team for years? This isn't just Deshaun Gibson in his second year. Deion Bush has been here for 5 years now? 6 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
He's been here for a while.
Yeah. I think he's drafted in 16.
It's his only NFL team, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 6th year. Yeah, but he also hasn't played a whole lot at safety. He does come in as the backup, but he really hasn't played a whole lot there. Still, this stuff can't happen. They gotta get it worked out. And I'll just say this, like, every time Akiem Hicks is out with an injury, the defense just looks different. It's still good. It's still more than fine in the NFL, but it clearly takes a step back.
Well, you lose some nasty.
Yeah.
The bravado. Like, he was hurt. He actually, the ironic part in this, he actually got hurt on one of those chase from behind tackles that he does so well, where he violently blows up the ball carrier. But who was it? Was it Jamal Williams? Kept his balance a bit. He got flipped over, and you could see almost immediately that he did not feel right. Like, that hurt him, getting flipping himself over the ball carrier.
I was a little confused, though. Were you following him on the sideline? Like, they didn't even really look at him.
No.
It almost looked like they knew there was a chance that he might not be able to finish the game today going into it. And I thought last week he looked banged up, like he was fighting through something.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't on the injury report this week.
No.
But it was it was like one play, he came out, and the trainer and the doctor walked over to him, and it was almost like, I can't go. Or they said,
then
don't.
He stood there by himself
like
for a significant period of time.
There wasn't really but they weren't looking at it. It was like the call had already been made.
Never went in the blue tent.
And then he just
never sat down.
Yeah.
Just stood there. I don't know if they waited for more information from talking to somebody else, but yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. This is to the defense. If there's any position group that's built to handle losses, it's that defensive line. You got Mario Edwards back, Angelo Blackson. He's a player, man.
Oh, I like him a lot.
He plays with some swagger out there. Eddie Goldman is back.
Didn't notice him much today.
I only noticed him on his offsides penalty, but that's about it. Where he was kind of dancing around there. But it's the one position where you can endure an injury, but you don't want to lose Akiem Hicks, player of his stature, what he provides on and off the field, like that edge. I mean, he breaks the team down with his speeches and stuff, man. Like, that's the fire. It's the anger that they need on defense, and they're going to miss it.
Eddie Goldman not on the stat sheet.
Not good.
But first game back.
Yeah. It's pouring outside now.
Is it?
The rain that was supposed to come during it is now here.
It finally is. Maybe you guys can see this behind us. If you're watching on YouTube, which you should be. Subscribe on YouTube. Click those notifications for when we go live. And any final thoughts?
No. I'm interested to see the carryover. Matt Nagy, he deserves some credit for giving up the play calling. He does.
Yep.
It's not easy for him. I think we all know that.
I think he's going to take a hit for the way he kind of dodged the question in the postgame.
And he probably should too. His teams have always been good at fighting back, though. I think there were some concerns about him losing the locker room. I never saw any signs of that. Never heard it from any of the players. Never got that vibe from the guys this past week. I don't think it's going to be there this week. So he still has a hold on his team. So it's good for them to shake off that Cleveland loss, just an ugly game. Let's see what they can do against a better opponent. Like, it was a perfect get-right opponent in the Lions today. Now they go to Las Vegas against a better team.
Yeah, this felt like a box checked, an easy quiz that you passed.
Yeah.
It was like get on to the next one. The test next week is going to be much tougher, and you got to prove it again, right? But it was a good step in the right direction. When it could have been another giant step back.
I think I'll say this though. Like, going into the year, I had them 2-2 after the first first 4 games.
Yeah.
Now things get a bit more dicey. Like we talked about a couple times already on this podcast. There's tougher opponents coming up. Now that doesn't mean all the tougher opponents are going to win. There could be a surprise victory in there somewhere for the Bears. But this is where you'll truly learn how good Nagy is as a coach still, and how good Justin Fields' development process is going for the Bears.
Well, again, it's like the next week's game against the Raiders is kind of like last week's game against the Browns in that it's a tough road test, but it's a game that you can win. And there would have been a scenario last week where they could have lost a good game to the Browns. Like, they could have been in the game and just...
They were in that game for an extended period of time, but as awful as they played.
To have such a disaster offensively was the problem. So, now I think there's a little bit more pressure maybe to win next week because what's coming next on the schedule. But, 2-2 was kind of where we always thought this team would be. It's been an interesting road already through 4 games of the season, but... It just goes to show you a lot can happen.
Yeah.
Every single week in this league.
A week-to-week league, everybody. So, there's one more week this year.
But the Bears are still relevant. And they have Justin Fields.
Always be relevant.
Should probably feel good about that, I'd say. Follow us on Twitter, at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. Read us, NBCSportsChicago.com for me, theathletic.com/HoganJahns for him. We will be back on Tuesday, our midweek episode. Start turning the page to Vegas, baby.
See ya.
Justin Fields.